Welcome students. This is your science teacher Anirban Boshak. In our previous classes on motion and time, we learned about what is motion, how an object is said to be moving fast or slow, and what is speed. We also learned about uniform and non-uniform motion. Now, taking uniform and non-uniform motion further, we would take one example. For example, a bus which is moving from point A to point B, what happens? Like a bus is starting from point A, that means it is starting from 0. Its speed is, for example, 0 meters per second. When it starts from A, it increases its speed to 10 meters per second and then further to 20 meters per second. As soon as it approaches point B, it decreases its speed to 0 meters per second. So students, can you tell that the bus is traveling in a constant speed or not? Yes, the bus is not following a constant speed. The bus is changing its speed from time to time, from 0 to 10, from 10 to 20, and from 20 to 0 meter per second. Now, the distance traveled by the bus with respect to time is being calculated as average speed. The distance traveled by the bus in the given time with changing speed is calculated as average speed. As we all know that speed comprises of two components, that is distance and time. So speed is equal to distance traveled upon time taken. Now the question comes that how do we measure time? So students, can you tell me that what are the most common time measuring devices which we use in our daily life? Yes, clocks, watches, so students, can you tell that whether the smartphone in which you are watching me is a time measuring device? Think upon it. In earlier days, when there were no clocks or watches, people, how did they measure time? They used to measure time by depending on the natural events like sunrise, moonrise, sunset, or any kind of eclipse which you would be going to study in geography or have already studied. Now, what happens that in olden days, people used to measure time by using devices called sundial, sand clock, and water clock. Sundial, also known as Surjogori. If anyone has got the chance to visit Hugli Imambara or the Jantar Mantar, you can see a Surjogori or the sundial. Sand clock, it is being used by the sea navigators when they used to navigate in the ancient and the medieval times, and water clock. So sundial, sand clock and water clock were the time measuring devices in the ancient and medieval times. So students, can you tell that the working of a clock or a watch can be said a periodic motion? Yes, it can be said. Why? Yes, the working of a clock watch follows the periodic motion because it repeats its motion after regular intervals of time. So, we can say that the working of a clock or a watch is based on the principle of periodic motion or oscillatory motion. If you have gone to an old ancestral house or a museum or an office building of imperial times, you most of us has seen that of a wall clock and a structure hanging from side to side. The moving structure which moves to and fro found in the old wall clocks is that of a pendulum. What is that? It is a pendulum. Pendulum follows the principle of periodic motion. Periodic motion is also known as oscillatory motion. Now we would see that how a pendulum looks like. A pendulum consists of a string-like structure with a metallic bob. The pendulum moves to and fro from one side to another. This to and fro motion is the periodic or the oscillatory motion. Now, if the pendulum starts from point O to A, then moves to point B and then again comes back to point A, it is said to be completing one complete oscillation. I'm again repeating that if the pendulum starts from point A, goes to O and goes to point A, then B and then again come back to point O, it is said to be completing one complete oscillation. And the time taken to complete one complete oscillation is known as time period. What is time period, students? It is the time taken to complete one complete oscillation is known as time period. Now, how do we measure time and speed in its unit form? The basic unit of time is second. Basic unit. Now, coming to the unit of time, whenever we would use the units, we would use in the singular form, not in plural form. Like in case of seconds, we won't use seconds, we would use second. This is the basic unit of time. The other units of time are minute, hour, but the main basic unit is the second. So students, the basic or the standard unit of speed is meter per second. In short, it is written as m oblique s. So the basic or the standard unit of speed is meter per second. The other units are kilometer per hour or km oblique h. So students, I hope you all have understood of what has been taught today. Thank you.